Go. Alright, so hello everyone and welcome back to Dyson Sphere Program. Let's click resume and then figure out where exactly we left off. So, last time we were here we were working on this, so we left by this stone mine it seems, which I'm not sure what exactly it's for, but yeah, I'm kind of a little bit disoriented right now. Our main bus is down here. So we head down here, and yes, this is the main bus with all of its stuff working. And we can see already some things like iron plates we are quite low on. So let's run down here and just get a couple more of these guys built up. So we just add on another couple machines and paste all the settings in, and then we have to connect the belts up. So there we go, and then all of the inserters go in, and that will be that. So we just get this all connected across, and now the power line, just like that. So that is a little bit more than doubled our iron plate production, which will hopefully help us out a little bit. And there we go. All these drones are also very convenient in restocking me stuff, so I don't have to do that as often. Alright, so where had we left off exactly? I believe we had just finished off our production of these, what are they called? Precision drones? Yeah, so we just finished that off. And we just sort of want to keep on chipping away at building things. So we've got all of these things built now. What else is there that we would want to have? We've got conveyor belt Mark IIIs would be nice, just for getting extra throughput in case that ever becomes an issue. And that is going to require various different types of conveyor belts and all sorts of inputs. So that is going to require supermagnetic rings and graphene. And graphene is going to require fluid stuff to work. So we're going to need to get sulfuric acid, which comes from water and refined oil. That seems like a bit of extra work. We could also just make missiles to get a different type of turret up and running. Let's see, what else is there that we could automate? So we can just real quick automate mining machines. That would be relatively easy, but I think working towards the conveyor belts would be the next big step, right? Because that'll also give us some intermediate parts, which will be useful to have. So we need to make these. We have all of these, right? We've made these things already. So we can make the supermagnetic rings. That's no problem. And that goes into all sorts of things, as we might expect. So then the trick is going to be the graphene, which, what's this? You can get graphene advanced from fire ice, which I assume we don't have unlocked. Actually, I think I remember seeing that earlier, right? If we look at you, then you have some collectible fire ice, but not much. Just like a tiny amount. And so that's an option. It's probably not a good one, though. So instead, making graphene the normal way, we could just get graphite, which is easy to get because that we already have that. Sulfuric acid is... which fluids are these, anyways? It's refined oil and water. Okay, let's actually try to see what this whole fire ice thing is like, because that would make it like 1,000 times easier if we could do it that way. So, let's see. We're gonna need
upgrade complete.
More fuel, obviously. We've upgraded our vertical production, so that's handy. We need to just continue going forwards. I've forgotten where the structure matrix is. Well, yeah, what do you need to make? You need to make diamonds and titanium crystals to make those. Alright, let's continue ignoring those for the moment and just work with random researches that we can already do. And yeah, let's head up to where we have our combustible units set up so that we can restock on some of those and prepare for a trip to get some fire ice. Alright, so we can sort our inventory like that. And then, what do we need here? We need to get fire ice somehow, which I don't necessarily know what building that will be for, but I suspect it will, well, it'll either be a mining drill or a fluid extractor thing, right? Although maybe not. I guess we'll have to find out. It's not very far, obviously, so it should be easy to discover. So let's make some mining machines, and we can also make some water pumps as well, I guess, just in case it's that. We'll need those eventually anyways. I closed that down, but I forgot to check what we needed. Electric motors and iron ingots. Alright, easy enough. So the electric motors, I believe, are somewhere in this vicinity. Yeah, here they are. So we can grab those out of that row and get one water extractor. And then we also have the oil extractor, that's oil refiner. We have the oil extractor set up there. So now we have, I believe, at least one of every type of output that we could possibly have available right now. Although dark fog is apparently about to attack very soon. So I don't know if leaving the planet's a good idea. I might want to hang around for just a little bit longer to see what's going on. And I set you up. You have 4 precision drones, right? I guess I can throw a stack of precision drones in there in case that matters. So we can do that. I don't know how this works, but hopefully this isn't just 4 precision drones total. In the meantime, while we're waiting for the last 7% on this dark fog attack, we might as well set up some more defenses up here. So we've got 5 turrets, which isn't a huge amount. We just need more iron plates to get more turrets. So let's find out where we left the iron plates this time. There we go. Got plenty from that. And make 2 more turrets. And at some point we're going to want to set up missile turret setups, but I don't think we'll have enough time to do that in the next complete. Short amount of time. Alright, so then we can get a turret out there. So that's up to 4 turrets. And we need to take out some of those wind turbines so that we can fit more turrets in. Alright, and then we just put a power pole down. Okay, so you should be all clear now. So you should be better in terms of your defenses. And I do want to see if these precision drones work properly. And hopefully this should work. I want to see here because I've obviously never used these before, so I wanted to see what exactly they do. And I also wanted to, I guess, we can look back at this to try to see. So you have apparently collectible fire ice, and it's giving that in items per second, which I don't know what that means in terms of actually accessing it. It seems like it wouldn't be a vein for a mining machine, because those are just a limited amount of items. But who knows? Could be anything. So, we are going to, I guess...
Flight mode.
I guess we can head down here and set up some random production line in the next little bit. So we can start working on the... What was this? I'm just blanking on the name, the supermagnetic ring. So we just need to get electromagnetic turbines, magnets, graphite. So we can get a blueprint, bus assembler row, pop you into there, and put some foundation down for it. And then that will all go across. Now we need to get all of these things set up. So first of all, you get the recipe like that. And then it's graphite and magnets, as well as the electromagnetic rotor things. So we're gonna have to head back here to find those. Alright, so here is the magnets. So this just goes forwards all the way. And we wait for all of the drones to place. And then we bring it the rest of the way up. And we're at 99.3% until the attack happens, so we're gonna probably just leave this off here and start heading up to the signal tower.
Flight mode.
Which hopefully should still be successful in attracting the dark fog attacks to it. If not, then we're going to be in a lot of trouble. But hopefully that's not an issue. Alright, here we are.
Dark fog cluster
And
is
the
launching
attack is
an assault.
incoming. And it does appear to be coming from this direction. So that's good. We have ammo in my personal inventory. All of the turrets have ammo. We also have our precision drones. So hopefully this should be fine. And okay, we can see them coming over the horizon there. And there's a whole bunch of them. The battlefield analysis base is doing stuff. You can see the precision drones flying about. Alright. Phase 1 down. Then we have this attack. And it looks like the Gauss turret range is larger than battlefield analysis base range. And they seem to be more effective too. So I'm not sure how exactly to make those work most effectively. It still says engaging. Okay, now it's stopped. Alright, yeah, so that was relatively successful, all things considered. Alright, so now, while we've got plenty of time, let's head up to the giant ice planet thing next to us. Now, I want to throw away some of my inventory into a box here for a bit, just in case we have space issues. Although we might have crafting issues, but if we do, then we're kind of doomed anyways, so let's not worry about that. And up we go. The hive seems relatively far away, so it shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so we just fly up to here, and we're going to be landing at night, which
Cruise ended.
is going to be unpleasant. Alright, what's going on here? I guess we don't land? Okay, so this works completely differently from all the other stuff. I don't see us actually getting anything. Alright, so we have to click a specific button to manually grab this, and it's requiring us to physically be here and use a bunch of fuel. Alright, so this is not really like the most practical way of going about this as like a main source. But that's fine, now we know what it's like at least.
Cruise mode.
And
Cruise ended.
okay, please.
Cruise mode.
Let me off of that. And now we just have to head back over this way. And preferably land near my base. Alright, here we are.
Cruise ended.
Alright, that was quick and not very successful, but we got 25 fire ice, which we can theoretically turn into 25 graphene, so it could be worse. Alright, so we're gonna have to do this the old-fashioned way then, which involves actually extracting some oil and getting it into this setup. So, we're actually super low on power right now, so let's go stand by a charging pole so that we don't explode. And let's see here. We've got, you can actually see it on the horizon over there. Our giant depot. Interesting. Okay, we're charged up enough, and we also still have the fuel in the tank, so it should be fine. Alright, so we need to start working on graphene the old-fashioned way, which is graphite, which we have, and sulfuric acid, which we don't have. Sulfuric acid is refined oil, water, and stone. So we are going to need to make refined oil and add that onto our list of inputs. So we're going to head over here to the end of the bus, I guess. And we're going to have to just do this manually, probably. So we get a machine in there, and you have, what, only these 3 recipes. So we can turn crude oil into refined oil and hydrogen. We could turn hydrogen and refined oil into graphite and more hydrogen. And we can turn coal, hydrogen, and refined oil into more refined oil. Alright, so that seems like not necessary when we can just do it this way, although I guess if we're going to have extra hydrogen, then we can do it like that. And so we just have to get crude oil in and then 2 outputs out. So step 1, we have a belt that goes in, and you are fed like that. Step 2 is we have 2 belts that go out, like those. So you need to be filtered so that you don't output random junk. So you're filtered to hydrogen, and you are filtered to refined oil. Alright. And now we need the spray coaters, which we can just squeeze in right next to each other. And then we connect the belts up. And then we connect that belt across, just like that. Okay. Get power pole in for these spray coaters. And this should theoretically work, assuming we can get the crude oil in here reasonably and the refined oil out. Now, what is crude oil even used for in general? There's gotta be some way of spotting it, right? So if we... yeah, it's just not showing up in any of these things. Okay, so I don't know if there's any other things that crude oil might be used for that we would want. But I think we're going to want it to be on the bus anyways. We actually have a crude oil seep right up here, which it would be real great if I could use, but it's enormous. So that's enormous. So we're going to have to do some clever arrangement for this to work. So you go in like that. And then all the belts which run past it and through this area need to go around. So that is, I believe this gear belt should be fine. So let's just drag that up to make sure. Yes, so the gear belt can just squeeze right past it, no problem. But then this belt here for the engines, I believe you are going to run into it. Yes, you are. So you can just go up as close as possible and then around as sharply as possible. Like that. Alright, then we need to get the rest of these lined up. Why did you go up a level? That's not at all what I wanted you to do. So we can just chain dismantle that. And then bring all of this back. And then we're going to have to rebuild this. But on the correct level. Which goes in like this. What are you trying to... Why are you trying to overlap with the gears? I'd rather you not do that. Did I just grab the wrong thing? Yeah, I grabbed a random belt in the middle of nowhere. Okay, so this belt goes through to here. And then it sneaks around. Like that. And then that should be... This one goes around here. And it's going to have to do all sorts of extra work to get around. And then this last one just comes around like that. And from there, we can just shove them back into the main bus over here, while this belt goes out. And I guess it can just go directly across for now. That should be fine. So you go in like that. And then you get powered up. So there we go. We have an oil extractor now. And that is going to give us all that stuff, and then we're going to have to probably have more oil extractors at some point, but this should be fine for now. Okay, so then we need to bring these guys back in line with the rest of the bus. So you go like that, you go like that, and then you go up and around like that.
Research complete.
And that's all good. We've got another random thing, which I don't know what it does, but is probably useful for something. We can get solar sail orbit system, where I guess this is the start of making a Dyson swarm. So that's exciting. We're just going to finish up all of the things we can do with just blue and red signs before moving on to the new type. So for now, we've got this going through, and we need these belts to extend a little bit, just so that we can put our new oil-based belts just past them. So we go to here, and you, and you. Now we just have to attach both these up to those, and then we'll be good to go. We are going to need to restock on belts eventually. Probably we might be able to finish getting these guys connected up, but it'll be close. So you come around here and lack item. Yep. All right.
Mineral depleted.
That's all set up as best it can. Now we just have to fly back up to where we're making our belts. And that's all the way over here. And as soon as we get in the right general area, we've got a bunch of drones. Drop them off for us. And then we can stand right next to the box so that it can load us up faster. So now we're up to 300. And we have another 300 in there that we can use. So there we go. Belts resupplied. Now we can fly back down. Alright, so we go all the way over here. And here we are. So we needed to finish this up. So you need to go around this way and then feed into a splitter. And then these belts just come out. And that is hydrogen and refined fuel on the belts, kind of. We're going to need to have some way of using both of them so that we don't run out of either of them. So that could be a complication. It probably will be. That's probably what those other oil refinery recipes are for, so we'll deal with that then. For now, we're just going to try to talk over the loud vacuuming, and we need to also add water and stone to this. Now the stone, I believe
Flight mode.
we technically have, but it's like all the way back here and it's not lined up properly. Alright, so here is our stone input belt. And so it just goes directly down into the two machines that currently use it. But this is another thing it's being used for, so we're probably going to need to just get it set up properly. It's weird that this even requires stone, but sure. Alright, so we just need to take another output from this one splitter that we have, and then you need to go sort of all the way out here, and then you're going to need to start running across and just sort of wherever, because the bus is going to expand. We're going to need to move you to the side soon anyways. Apparently altitude 1 isn't high enough for going over machines, so we're going to have to go up to altitude 3 apparently. So we can just pass over all those and not worry about it. And then even that's too much for you, so you can just go around that and then drop back down to ordinary level. We are most of the way there now. We just need to wrap around there and then up to here and then into the main bus again. Okay, so that's all set up. Now we just need to actually get these belts constructed. So we just run along and get that done. And it's all going in. Alright, so now we just head up this way. And I don't know why they're going all the way down there instead of these couple belts which are right here. Bit weird prioritization there, but whatever. So now we can pass down this way and get the last couple belts on this side connected up. So now the stone gets moving.
Flight mode.
And if we head down this way, that should be now relatively easy to make the sulfuric acid. Although we still need water. So let's run up here for a water pump. So in you go. And we just get power up to you. Like that. And then this gets its belt go up and onto the main bus. There we are. So that is water, stone, and refined fuel, which means we can now set up the... What's it going to be? A chemical plant or something? Chemical facility, yes. Which I don't think we've actually...
Insufficient materials.
Yeah, we haven't actually built those before. So, chemical plant, we need steel, stone, glass, green circuits.
Research complete.
And we finished solar sail research. And somehow there's still more researches to do without yellow science. So that's yellow, that gives us yellow, this... It says it propels logistics vessels to travel between planets, which would be quite nice for getting some of that stuff automated up instead of having to do it all manually. Okay, so we need to grab the resources to make chemical plants, which are, I believe, steel plates. What were they again? I keep getting distracted by stuff. Steel plates, stone, glass, green circuits. So we can grab the green circuits, no problem. The other items should be a bit further down this way. Yeah, here's some glass for us to grab. And if we head back far enough, we should find the steel plates. Apparently I'm just missing the steel plates. Alright, so you're the stone. And which one of you is steel plates? Oh, I haven't actually made steel plates on the bus yet. Okay, whoops. So we can just grab iron ingots for that. And then we are going to need even more of these. So let's just head up to somewhere where we have those already. We shouldn't need to automate chemical plants just yet. Alright, so steel plates should be somewhere in here. And, oh, it's not that one, it's this one. Alright, so we've got all those. Now we can go chemical plant, and we will produce just 2 of them for now.
Flight mode.
And then head on down. There's a new Dyson sphere panel mode, which I don't think we need to use yet. Alright, so we head down here, go to production facilities, get a chemical plant down. So this, I'm just going to put it in somewhere. And you make, it's all these weird things, but you need to make sulfuric acid, which is refined oil, stone, and water. So you need 3 input belts. That's 1, 2, 3, and an output belt. Alright, so then you get a spray coater on your output belt, which we need to have it line up with all the others, which is like that. Alright, now we just have to get all the rest of this stuff connected up across. So the belt goes there, and then we need to get all these items down into here, and that should be good to go. So let's head up and start putting splitters on these guys. So we can tear you out and put a splitter in. How about like right there? Then we will tear that one out and put a splitter in, like right there. And now all of these belts connect across. And now we just have to get all this stuff out. So you need to go out like this, probably. So we need to get the refined oil out as well, which means this area is going to get a little bit cramped. But if you go into there, you should be able to just connect all this stuff up. I don't know what button I pressed there. But there we go. We have stone, we have refined oil, and we've got water. So now we just put those three into the three inputs up here, and we're good to go. And we have plenty of space down on ground level. So you go into there. And then you go a little bit further up here. And then you go into there. And then the water can just go a little bit more and then over. And we're going to need to cover those veins up real quick. So now this comes over there and into that. Alright, so that should be everything except a power pole, which we can just pop into there for our spray coater. Oh, and we also need the insert, of course. I feel real foolish if this doesn't reach properly. And it does. Alright, so that is everything. And you now get to produce sulfuric acid, which we can then run up here and put on the belt. And we need to give this a bit of a break somehow so that it doesn't stay all weird and offset like this. Oh, and this belt is facing the wrong way. So we will reverse path and then connect that up. So now you go all the way up and into the splitter, where you can then just immediately come out like that. Okay. So that is sulfuric acid. Now the reason we wanted sulfuric acid was because it was one of two inputs for graphene. So let's get that going. We're going to need another chemical plant. And that is going to be just input belt, chemical plant, and output belt. And the output belt can go up to there, and then it gets a spray coater, just like the rest of them, which we line up the same as the rest of them, like that. So you are going to be making graphene. There we go. We just need to get a power pole in for you. Okay, so for the graphene, we need to get more of this. And let's see here. How do we do this? If we actually... Because I don't want to have to put another splitter in here again. So how about we just use this existing one a little bit creatively. So that comes around and goes up to there. Oh, that's the wrong input. Obviously, that's the output, not the input. So we need you to come around like that and then go in. So that is that. And then our spray coater belt needs to connect up. And that now just needs graphite, which should be somewhere on this belt back here. Pretty sure we've made that already, right? Probably gonna be one of the first couple. Yeah, here it is. Graphite right here between the stone and the glass. So this belt just continues on straight for a while. And I don't know why it's trying to change slope so much while I'm doing this. So the belt just continues along. And then it'll go out to like there-ish. So now in here we get a splitter. You connect into the splitter, and then you come out and go into that. Alright, so now we just need all of this stuff to get built, which is not slow, but it is getting there. Looks like we just have a couple random chunks left over mostly. Okay, so that is graphite all connected up. And it should be producing graphene now. So that belt gets back to there. Oh, I need to put the inserters in. This is why I use a blueprint for these things. Why I should use a blueprint for these things. Alright. So now we have graphene. What did I want that for? Oh, I think I wanted it for conveyor belt Mark IIIs, and I guess all this other stuff too. So we can make a bunch of solar sails to get a whole lot of power with the graphene and those photon combiners that we have. So that's handy. And then particle container is just an intermediate recipe of some sort. But we should be able to make conveyor belt Mark IIIs now, hopefully. Because we have graphene, we have the super magnetic rings. We're going to need to make processors on this bus first before we can make the assembly machine Mark IIs. But that will also be a step that's coming soon. Alright, so step 1 is to make Mark II belts, which step 1 is to make Mark I belts. Okay, so the way we are going to do this is we need one of you, and then we need another one of you, and then we need another one of you. And I'm not 100% confident that those snapped in properly. We'll have to see. I'll have to see once it all gets built up. So this one looked like it worked. This one back here looks like it didn't. So we just need that connection to get made. And the proliferator can go through, and I don't think it'll be especially useful here, but at least it'll exist. Alright, so this is mostly built at this point. Just a couple random belts left. Alright. So, we've got these 3 things, and we can tell you to make conveyor belt Mark 1s. We can tell you to make conveyor belt Mark 2s. And we can tell you to make conveyor belt Mark 3s. Now, what we need to do is work with these guys to not have to add a bunch of unnecessary rows to the main bus. So first we take plates and gear wheels. That's going to be easy, although it might require us running a long distance back here to find our plates belt. Here you are. So this belt needs to continue forwards. It looks like the gear belt is already close. So that comes all the way up to there-ish, and then starts getting built. Alright, so the graphene is going to have to move past a little bit, so we need to leave some room for that. But this then connects down and into there. And we're going to need to restock on belts pretty soon, which is fine. And it looks like the drones have decided to prioritize all that stuff down there, so the ones which are inches away. Okay, so that is plates connected. Next up, we need to connect the gear wheels up, which there's actually just a lot of stuff on the belts down here. And we need foundation. So there we go. That should be enough for now. We're starting to hit the ocean a little bit, which is a bit of an issue, just in terms of the amount of foundation that we're going to need for this next part. So that goes across to there, and then comes down, and then sort of loops around awkwardly and into that. Okay, so that is tier 1 belts producing. And we need to restock on belts, and foundation for that matter. We're starting to get a little bit low on that. So we can just get over to here, grab another 1,000 foundation, and now we can get all of these belts delivered. So there we go. And they should be delivering even more. There we go. That's all working nicely. Alright, cool. And apparently we need to get those into our main inventory so that we can see them and not think we only have 13 splitters left. Alright, so now we head down here. Now we can head back and get this finished off. And power is kind of becoming a bit of a nuisance. Can I get more wireless power towers? I can if I get plasma exciters, which we have somewhere over here.
Flight mode.
And it's probably these glowy things here. Alright, so we can grab a bunch of those and then craft up like 4 of these. And then place one of those down. And yep, I know it said core energy is exhausting. Fortunately, that problem has been solved. So now we can just stand here by this power tower while we refuel. And up that goes. Just giving it some time to get nice and comfortably high so that we don't have to worry about that for a little bit. And then that should be good enough now.
Flight mode.
So I'm certainly not helping matters by flying everywhere. But we can put another one down here so that we can just stand in this a little bit while we design all this stuff. Alright, so the belts have been produced. Now we just take this out. If I can grab the end of that belt. So you just need to go around to there, right? Like, there's no need for you to go on the bus or anything. The only reason to make tier 1 belts is so that we can make tier 2 belts. And the only reason to make tier 2 belts is so that we can make tier 3 belts. So you need to add in EM turbines, which are one of these guys down here, which are sort of cramped in the way with everything else, but that's fine. So you go out down to that way, and we get a new splitter in. Then you just connect up, and then this belt can come down, and then just go around into that. Alright, so that is tier 2 belts being produced. And again, those can simply wrap around into tier 3 belt production, which requires supermagnetic rings and graphene. So we can head down here, and which one of you guys was supermagnetic rings? And which one of you was graphene? So that's graphene there. And this is the supermagnetic rings all the way back here. So I need to get both of those connected up into the bus proper. So you need to sort of skip along that way, and then over into here, and then you can get all the way up there past the rest of these guys and be good to go. Very good thing I left plenty of space in here. Okay, it also looks like these aren't producing correctly. Oh, I never actually set you up. Yikes, that's annoying. Like, I've sworn I'd done that already. Alright, it's fine. We should be able to do this without too much difficulty. That might require some more creative belting. We need these. Okay, so we need these to get down to there. So I think what'll be easiest is if we disconnect that and instead have it loop around this way and go in here. Okay, no, that's not quite possible, it looks like. Yeah, that just barely doesn't work, which is quite annoying. So you can then just connect back up to that. Don't do whatever that is. We're going to need all the space we can get in order for this to work. Okay, so yeah, this segment in there is what was wrong. That was pointing backwards. So you go forwards into there, just like you were previously. Now we need to get these guys down into that box over. It's so far away. Can we... Okay, yes, we can just move this back a bit. That should be the easiest way. So you can go like all the way back there. And then this whole belt just needs to go back a little bit more and then in over to here. There we go. And then you connect up across to there. And now we have enough space that we should be able to disconnect you and instead grab this output into there. And then we have this output here, which we need to give it some space so that it can wrap over all these guys. And then it needs to come down to here. And then it just has to squeeze up into that. Okay, that's one down. Graphite and magnets to go. So, graphite goes all the way along here, so that should be straightforwards. We've got this nice space in here that we can grab and use. So you just go in like that, and then that connects across, and we grab the output from there, and then just curve it in. There we go. So now it's just magnets, which we brought these up and then gotten distracted by something. Can't remember what. So magnets just go into there, and then they just have to come out and into the machine. Alright, so then that is the magnetic rings. Supermagnetic rings are now attached up, and they go all the way out to here, where they can get added onto the belt. So our next belt lane is like in here, apparently. This whole thing is kind of a giant mess, but whatever. Should be better past this area, which is chaos because of the crude oil output being right there. So that, we just send that belt forwards. Okay, so where was I down here? You had produced your belts, and you were waiting on the supermagnetic rings and graphene. And the supermagnetic rings are now on the bus. The graphene also needs to get on the bus. So that goes out just one more past the supermagnetic rings, which is starting to get very... This particular area is just incredibly crowded for no very good reason. But that belt can come out there and then loop around and then go into that. And then that belt can continue forwards a little bit, where we actually need to immediately dismantle most of that I just placed. Get a splitter in and get all this stuff connected up. Okay, so we're mostly out of the... We've mostly managed to recover from all the horrible cramped stuff that we had earlier. We have plenty of space back here to work.
Mineral depleted.
Alright, so now you just go in to one of those guys, and then we need the other one to attach up just like somewhere in there. Belt just goes forwards, connects up to our new splitter. Now the belt comes up from that splitter and goes all the way down here and around and in. Okay. Now, if I am correct, that should be everything we need for Conveyor belt Mark III output. And it is. Very nice. Okay, so now all we have to do is head all the way over here, which is getting to be quite far. And then you need to just splitter into a depot, which has a logistics distributor. And the logistics distributor is going to have logistics bots. Okay. Now we just connect these back. And you have to come out this way and then all the way over into there. And the whole thing gets a power pole. And now this is receiving tier 3 belts. Alright, we got there. Tier 3 belts constructed. Let's make sure to limit this to like 2 stacks. That's been enough so far for us, right? Just using like 600 of them at a time. Alright, so now if we want, we can just swap these out for the new belts. And again, we want to have at least 600, and we don't want our belt to somehow get completely jammed with it. So we do that. And you should be... Okay, I don't know why I had to click that gas filter button. But now you are providing me with tier 3 belts, which are faster, right? More than twice as fast. It's 30 per second as opposed to 12 per second. So that's pretty neat, I would say. And at this point, we're just getting all of the belts that show up. And you are just being limited by production speed, so there's no problem there. You are actually getting a production speed up effect, although actually the thing you're being limited by is the loader speed, it looks like. So we have unlocked sorter Mark IIIs as well, a while ago actually. So let's get those set up as well. And it's going to be the same sort of triple row that we have here. And, okay, this pond isn't huge. It's mostly solid in here, so that should be fine. So we need a row for the tier 1s. We need a row for the tier 2s. And we need a row for the tier 3s. We get all those placed. And then we need to get the recipes in. So that goes in. And good news is that our supply of belts is much closer to us, so for now at least, we won't even need to move anywhere to get our resupplies. So you are doing sorter tier 3s, just like that. Or no, you do tier 2s. This one is doing tier 3s. Fortunately, I only misspoke. I didn't misclick. Okay, so we've got all those in. And fortunately, they each only require 2 inputs, one of which is the previous. Alright, so
Mineral depleted.
we can just continue using up the last supply of our tier 2 belts here. So that connects around to there. And then this connects around to there. Alright, now we just need to get the belts in for the actual resources. So you are iron plates and green circuits for the first one, which is entirely unsurprising. It's very simple stuff here. Okay, and we need to get those stacks of tier 3 belts into our inventory proper. For now, we are just going to finish off using the tier 2 belts. And I don't think we really need to upgrade them necessarily just yet. So iron plates go down this way. And the fact that this pond forces us to hover everywhere is very distracting. Okay, so this needs a little bit more space. Put the splitter in, like, there. You need a foundation, too, obviously. So that goes in. And splitter just goes like that. And then our belts connect up. So you go up there. And then you come out this way. Wait, no, not like that. That's the wrong altitude. You need to be coming from the lower level. And around into the input. There we go. That is that setup. Then we need the green circuits as well, which are going to be all the way back here, probably. Here they are. Okay, so we just need to take this belt out as far as it'll go. And it's about that far before we run out of the tier 2 belts, which is fine because at this point we can pretty safely upgrade to tier 3s without problem. Although we might need to start looking at upgrading some other of these input machines because production is clearly waiting on supermagnetic rings. Okay, so this then miraculously upgrades to tier 3s at this point and continues on a little bit further. And boy, those belts are fast. Okay. So you just need a splitter, which apparently needs even more foundation. If only it were possible to manually place foundation in a way which is as efficient as doing the blueprints. That would be a lot of foundation saved, but it's fine. So you go into there and connect up. So that is tier 1 sorters down. So then tier 2 sorters require electric motors. And those are going to be back here somewhere. Here they are. So that just comes on out and goes straight forwards out to here. And we need a foundation somewhere in this area. So I could just stand on this. And so that's the belt there. This foundation actually needs to be like over there. So hopefully that will be good enough. And now our splitter comes in right there. That ought to be close enough, right? You aren't crooked. So now this belt can just run along out that way and into there. So that is that, and then we need the tier 3s to be the electromagnetic turbines, which are also going to be back here somewhere. So we grab this, we bring that out, and we fly up this way. Alright, then you just need to go a little bit further than this. So how about up somewhere there? And you then get a splitter. So that ought to be good. This connects across. And then the output can show up and go in. So that will be max speed sorters, and we just need to get them across to a box, which can be over here, just like with the other one. So we get one U and a box and a logistics distributor. The logistics distributor can get some logistics bots like that. And then this whole thing gets powered. And now we just have to run this belt back. So you come up this way, and then you just snap into that. And this, we definitely don't need more than like one stack of. So you go like that, and should be all cleared. So this one over here isn't working very well. So we can set you to gas the filter. Should be fine. So why are you not getting any output? So we are low on graphene. And the reason we are low on graphene is because we are low on sulfuric acid. We're low on sulfuric acid because we're low on refined oil. And we're low on refined oil because we've got too much hydrogen. Alright, what does one do with hydrogen? We can take hydrogen and refined oil and turn it into more refined oil. What are all the possible recipes that we could do with hydrogen? That's what I want to know. And I'm not sure that there's an easy way of finding out. So, let's see here. You produce hydrogen. So hydrogen goes into energy matrices, goes into hydrogen fuel rods, obviously. We can do X-ray cracking. We can do deuterium fractionation, which who knows what that's for. And then this stuff over here is the refined fuel side of things. Okay, so if we need to use a whole bunch of hydrogen in order to get this all to work,
research,
then okay, we've unlocked the augmented thruster. So does that just instantly give us the ability to go between planets? So all this stuff up here goes from planetary to interstellar. It seems like I'm missing a step in there. Seems like I'm missing a step in there. What about... So this is all requires yellow stuff and even more than yellow stuff. So we're super far away from all that. What about upgrades? What upgrades are there? Anything that we care about? Logistics carrier engine? No, it's not. That. Bane utilization requires extra stuff. All of these are combat-related stuff, which I guess we can make our combat drones better. That would be cool, but it's not super urgent. We haven't exactly been struggling, right? So, not feeling the need to spend much more time on that. So, we can do ray receiver. That's one option. We can unlock structure matrix. We could finish doing all this combat-based tech down in here. Okay, let's just throw in a random combat-based tech in there. And then we have to just figure out what to do with all this hydrogen. So, the best thing to do with hydrogen is to turn it into... let's see. I had noticed something previously that we could use for it. So we can turn it into graphite and more hydrogen. So that's the opposite of what we want. We could turn it into deuterium, which... let's see. What is this? This is... I'm not sure it's saying there's a 1% chance of this even successfully happening at all. Or if it's normally 10 to 5, but sometimes it's 1 to 1. I'm not sure how to read that. But it should... okay, that's made in particle collider, actually. Or fractionator. Oh, I see. I bet those two recipes are for the two different machines. So if I were to do this in a fractionator, then that... let's see here. Okay, let's just set up... let's not worry about that just yet. Instead, we are going to just make, I don't know, hydrogen fuel rods maybe? Do we have a good source of titanium? Not really. We could... I know I had seen some useful way of getting rid of the hydrogen, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, was it X-ray cracking? No, that gives more hydrogen than you started with. Don't want to do that. I thought there was some way of turning more hydrogen into more fuel. Okay, let's just make a fractionator and see what that does. So we need processors, which needs green circuits and microcrystalline components. Let's just fly up to where we have some of those already and grab them from there. So we fly up to here. Got processors in this general vicinity. So we can grab some of those. And we can make a fractionator. And while we're here, let's just grab some steel for manual crafting purposes. Just while we're in the vicinity. Alright, so we have a fractionator now. So hopefully we can use that to just convert some hydrogen into a form where we won't need to worry about it as much. So we head all the way down this way. And we go to production, fractionator. Of course you need a foundation for that tiny little speck. So that goes in. Production, fractionator. Alright, so we've got this.
You've built a fractionator. It can randomly fractionate deuterium from liquid hydrogen.
We've got a tutorial.
Use the conveyor belt to feed in hydrogen from one side. After fractionation, the residue will be exported from the other side, while the deuterium will be fed out from the front port. If you need to increase deuterium output, speed up the cargo infeed and outfeed, or build more fractionators.
Alright, well that seems simple enough. Just gotta grab some hydrogen and put them into here. Now, from what I understand, we need to have you go in like that. So that goes in one side. Then the hydrogen comes out the other side. Did it also say in here? Yes, so the hydrogen goes out the other side, and then the deuterium comes out the front port. So this is a bit weird, actually, in terms of how it works. But now I think I understand this recipe, right? So we transform you into a smaller amount of hydrogen, or we transfer you into deuterium occasionally, I think. So we need to do some weird stuff with this, that's for sure. So you need to just go in from there. Actually, I think we even need this to have a splitter so that we can control priority so that it doesn't get jammed. So let's get a splitter there. You go into there. You output over to there. And then we can also input to the splitter from up here. So we do something like that. Let's take those two random belts out. Now we need you to be input priority so that we don't get the whole thing jammed. And then we need to take the deuterium out, which we can just do like this. And actually, hang on. So this will be fine for now when we just have the one, but it won't be what we want when we have multiple. So we actually want this to be sideways, and then just have the hydrogen just chain through all of them. Yeah, so let's take that stuff out for now. And we're gonna be rebuilding something vaguely similar to it in a second, but we need you to go like this. And then your input belt goes there. And then your output belt then wraps around back into here. And now we need that to be the input priority. And then this will be outputting into a splitter, which can we combine those directly? We can, although it looks terrible. So now when we want more, we can get our deuterium out there, and then we just want a liquid storage tank for now, just to store all the deuterium we get, which we're thankfully able to craft exactly one of. So that just fits in there without issue, and into that. Okay, so now we just have to put the hydrogen belt into there, splitter, and we're gonna have to head back here to find it. There you are. So this belt just goes straight forwards as usual.
Research complete.
Finished that random research we set for ourselves. We can do planetary defense system, which seems like extreme overkill for now, but will definitely be necessary at some point. So we might as well have it researched just to do stuff with our matrices. Right, so the hydrogen comes down here. Then we tear all that out, and we need a foundation in there, and then a splitter on top of that foundation. So now the hydrogen goes in here, and we actually want this splitter to be... Oh, we need to actually give it its outputs first. So this is the first one, and you just go out like that. Then it's going to have its second output, which just goes along to there. And now, if we set this splitter up, output priority is to the top, and that should prevent the hydrogen from getting completely jammed. Okay, now we watch this, and it sure is going. It's not going terribly quickly. So yeah, 1.5% of it gets turned into deuterium. 98.5% gets transformed into just more hydrogen. Now, what are these numbers over here? 24 out of 1500, 1800 fractionate per minute. I don't know what those numbers mean. But we have 26 deuterium already, so that's cool. Now, as long as this just drains enough deuterium that that our hydrogen supply doesn't completely drain, then that will be fine, and I'm sure at some point we will find a valuable use for a bunch of deuterium. In the meantime, let's just charge up so that we don't have problems with that. Alright, so all this stuff seems to be running. Now let's try to figure out what we're short on and upgrade that. So we don't have enough graphene still. That's not surprising at all. And we also don't have enough electromagnetic turbines. Alright, so let's actually just head back
Flight mode.
all the way down to this side of everything and just start working from here, see what we're low on. So everything here is good. So we just travel down this way until we find an empty belt. So here's an empty belt here. It's for these engines. Okay, now I need to just make a new blueprint that is basically the same thing but doesn't have the front half on it, so that we can just paste this to expand the production rows. So you are assembler setup. I don't know, so just call it something like that. Give it assembly machine mark 1. Save that. Oh, I didn't give it the thumbnail text. Assembler setup. Now the difficulty is that this is going to be very similar to the existing one, but it should be hopefully manageable. So we can just place a couple of these guys in, and that should improve our supply of motors. And why is all this stuff not... Oh, it's not getting built because we don't have any conveyor belt Mark IIs, which is what the blueprints were used with. So we are gonna have to fly back up here to restock on those, and we're gonna have to do it manually because we removed that from our requests. So at some point we're gonna have to just fix it so that we don't have blueprints with anything but Mark III belts. But for now, this should be manageable.
Flight mode.
And we just have to fly over here. And I don't know why... Okay, no, the machines have showed up. It just took them a little while. So now all this stuff can get built. And apparently I'm also short on assembly machines, so I can just craft a couple up to get this set up and then fly up north to pick up more. So there we go, we get those crafted and placed. So hopefully that will provide enough electric motors for at least short term.
Flight mode.
Might need to continue expanding that. Now let's fly up and grab those assembly machines, which, okay, you need logistic spots for automatic distribution. So that's what your problem was. So we can set you up to do that, and then grab those that you just delivered into our inventory. All right, so that is good progress. Now let's find one of these charging power stations to sit in for a little bit. The dark fog is up to 90% again, which it's a bit concerning how fast that grows, but it's probably fine. How's our power grid, by the way? Currently we are discharging a whole bunch. We're discharging almost as much as we're generating. But I've never seen them flicker yet, so hopefully our accumulators are up to the task. And it looks like that iron vein up there is just completely broken, actually. So I can grab a tiny bit more if I just move you up to this last remaining node. And then that's officially going to be completely dead. Alright, so we can do that. And power plant. Alright, there is 13,000 iron left to grab out of that vein, and hopefully that will get it all sorted out. And we're still very far behind on red science. So we are going to want to probably set up just like mass scale science production soon, because we have been getting through it relatively slowly. It's not really a concern because, like, as slowly as we're getting through it, we're also not exactly constructing the things we're researching very quickly. So it shouldn't be a huge issue. Like, there's all this stuff here that I still want to build at some point. And there's also just the various maintenance of actually keeping up with all these things that we've built already. Like these guys here. We need more of them. So let's get you in, and then you get placed a couple of times. Okay, and then we paste the correct settings across like that, and that should hopefully be magnetic coils fixed, except now we're low on magnets, because of course we are. So let's head down here. We don't have a proper setup for these, I don't think. Actually, do we? Okay, we've got you, but you have the coating, the spray coaters in you. So yeah, we're just going to have to expand you the old-fashioned way, which I guess will be by creating a blueprint for it. So we can just yoink that, and then you will just be called something silly like furnace setup. Where are you? Where is the... There you are. Arc smelter set up. Arc smelter setup. Thumbnail text. Arc smelter setup. Save blueprint. And then we can start using it. And we just place those guys in. And then we're going to... This didn't quite work out perfectly, so we're going to need to manually connect all this stuff up. Okay, what have I done? Got that all messed up somehow, but we fixed it. And now the limiting factor here is iron ore input. So that's a lot harder to deal with, obviously, so we're just going to probably leave it at that for now. Let's actually check out, though.
Flight mode.
Just to make sure it's not something easy. So we fly over here. We have 4 machines here. 2 of them are grabbing these guys. 2 of them are going up to the old factory. Now the ones going up to the old factory seem like they're actually doing pretty well. So let's set that off. Give you a splitter. And you can split that way. Now we still want output priority to be up there so that we don't have any issues with that. Somehow this is like the world's tiniest section of slow belt there. So let's upgrade all of those to tier 2 belts. And now we are getting more iron down to this side. Still not quite as much as I would like. Can we happen to notice that there's one iron patch here that we aren't grabbing? So we might as well get you in to do that. And then connect you up. And now we have hopefully enough iron ore again, or at least close to it. Oh, it seems like it's going to be close. And a dark fog is going to be attacking again like any second now. Alright, so the iron ore belt is back. And it is struggling on both sides, it looks like. And it is being proliferated, so that's fine. Alright, dark fog attack
Flight mode.
in 0.6%. So let's get up there to monitor that, to make sure it's all going fine. It should all go fine, but just in case, I can be here to help a little bit. And once we get this very impractical planetary defense system upgrade researched, then we can maybe move on to
Dark
something
fog
actually
clusters
useful.
launching an assault.
Okay, now they're sending 54 items, which is a lot. 54 guys is a lot. So we can like upgrade the number of combat drones that we have available from a base. There's all sorts of combat related upgrades if this gets a bit spooky. So that's what we're going to be seeing if we need to divert to do some of those. Alright, here they come. And they sort of went a little bit wide this time. Still looks fine. Alright, wave 1 done. And for some reason, the battlefield analysis base does not do a great job of actually deploying the drones immediately. Like, they get out here eventually, but it takes them a chunk of time. Alright. So that is that done. And it was I don't know. The numbers are getting big. We're still handling it relatively easily, but the numbers are getting big.
Research complete.
So, let's start researching some of these upgrades. So we can upgrade the planetary shield. Don't really care about that. Don't care about any of those. We can get the ground squadron slots upgraded. We could get them increased attack speed, increased damage, or we could just start jamming in some of these guys. So this will take up only blue science, which we have a lot of, and it should help with our gun turrets mainly. And then we can queue up that to help with all of our laser weapons, which should include the drones probably. And then from there we can make our ground squadrons larger. And we'll see what happens from there. That should be a pretty solid all-around upgrade to our defenses, just like an extra 10% here or there. Nothing crazy, but it should help. And then the other thing which I'm going to want to do is let's get missiles set up. So we need a whole bunch of things to make the missiles themselves. And we need to actually make the turrets as well. So let's head down and
Flight mode.
see what's going on with all of that. So we head down here, and so now we're in the right general area, right? Okay, so missile set requires combustible units, which is coal, engines, which I believe I already have. Did I ever make combustible units for the other things? Let's see. If we look in this area, there's no combustible units in there. Our inventory is also starting to get filled up, by the way. Okay, combustible units are coal in an assembler, which is a bit of a weird combo, but it is what it is. So,
Upgrade complete.
let's take this, just click through the random upgrades. So we've got our coal input there. And is that all? I could have sworn we had... How did we get coal in here for like the graphite and everything? Your coal comes from like all the way over there for some reason, as opposed to the proliferator coal, which all comes from there. I don't know why I did that, but sure, I guess that's fine. So, let's go back here and tear this coal out a little bit. And then, yeah, I think just not putting all of these items on the proper belt, on the proper bus, was just like clearly a mistake at this point. This is not the first time I've had to go back in and add something that I thought previously wouldn't be necessary.
Flight mode.
Which is quite irritating, but you just have to run all these belts all the way across and then get them added in, and then we'll have them and we won't need to deal with that mistake again. Alright, so now this has to loop around all this stuff. And there. And then we need you to like drop down beneath that water where it joins, because it joins in a dumb way, which I don't want it to. And then you can, once you're on this side, get added up and just run along this way. And that is coal on the main bus. It's going to take a huge amount of belts to get all this done. Fortunately, not exactly starving for belts right now. So let's get all that built up. And then see about getting those missiles. Alright, ground squadron expansion
Upgrade complete.
is upgraded. And that was the last upgrade we had queued. So, are any of these reasonable right now? No. Let's just do 10% kinetic weapons damage. That's always going to be nice to have for defending against our fog more efficiently. And we'll have to start looking at explosive weapon damage as well in a minute once we have the missiles set up, but that will be a minute. So that is all good. Coal now flows across and gets
Flight mode.
all the way down this way. I mean, we're going a significant portion of the way around the planet at this point, which is somewhat impressive, although this is a pretty tiny moon, so maybe not that big of a deal. So let's just stand here while we charge up for a little bit and wait for the coal to make its way along the belt. So these items on this belt, this is the extra hydrogen, which we are still fractionating, and it seems to be mostly going fine. How much? We have 390 deuterium. Sure. So now let's just finish charging up a little bit. And then we can head up here now that we have our coal. We just need to drag this belt the last little bit over to here. And no, not like that. That's completely wrong. Just destroy that entirely. That wasn't even on the right layer or connected up to anything that we wanted it to be connected to. So you can go along like that, and now you should be all caught up to where we need you to be on the main bus. And now that we're down here, we can just add in our combustible units setup. So we go here. You have to double click on this, not on... I double clicked on the wrong thing. Okay, so then this setup needs to be aligned like this and just go in like that. We just want it to stay all nice and lined up with our proliferator. So that all goes into there. And you are going to be making combustible units, which is just going to require the coal that we brought. So that should be incredibly easy. Alright, so that just gets cut back a little bit. We just get a little bit of foundation in there. And then this all gets set up. So that connects into the splitter, and now we can take you out and all the way down to there. Alright, so that is going to be making combustible units on the main bus. So we have combustible units. I believe we already have engines and everything else. So we just need to find them and bring them forwards. I believe we had them from when we were building our drone squad guys, right? Back here somewhere. We have you. Okay, maybe it was back here by the prototypes. Yeah, here it is. So you go all the way out here and then across to this, and then you immediately stop. And now it's time for you to restart again. So this belt just goes all the way forwards. And our construction drones will be struggling to keep up, but they'll get there eventually. And there we go. Okay, engines are now in at least the right general vicinity. So next up, we need green circuits and copper. So the green circuits should be relatively close. The copper might be far. Yeah, the green circuits are there. Alright, let's fire up that explosive weapons damage research. Because we have missiles pretty soon that we're going to be using to do that. And we're going to need to recharge again because all this flying around really drains the battery. So we charge back up, and then we can bring green circuits forwards all the way out to there. Again, just get them in the same general vicinity. And then we can land here, get our resupply, and then we need to find copper ingots, which are going to be all the way back.
Flight mode.
All the way back at the other side of the bus, probably. Here they are. Okay, they weren't that much farther than the engines. In fact, they probably went into the engines. Looks like they were one of the ingredients for that. Okay, thank you, energy weapons damage. Very cool. Now we just need to remove that random Tesla tower, which doesn't seem to be necessary. I don't see anything that broke when we dismantled it. So now we just continue bringing all this stuff along. And then just a little bit. What have you done? Don't do that. Don't do that. Calm down. Let's talk about this. Why have you gone down? Alright. Chain dismantle. Just literally tear the whole thing out. It's gonna be completely messed up. Alright. Back to here. Let's get this in right this time without it arbitrarily deciding to drop down to altitude 0 without me telling it to. So that all goes in. And it just keeps going forwards. And it just keeps going forwards. Okay. Now that's all set up. We are continuing to get resupplies, continuing to get belts built. And now, let's just get this blueprint placed. I know we haven't finished building those belts. They'll get there eventually. So that blueprint is placed in. And now we need to wait for... What's this, about 53 items that... Oh, we probably don't have... Yeah, we don't have the green circuits for. Okay, so what we can do is we can just get those by upgrading you and just chain upgrading all of this. And that should give us enough belts, hopefully. Yeah, looks like it. And we're going to need to get tier 2 belts back into our... Either back into our inventory or set up so that we don't need them for any of our blueprints. So the missiles get set like so. And now we need to get all of these guys set up. So first, explosive units are definitely going to be going onto the bus. So you go all the way out there somewhere, and then you get some foundation for a splitter, which then just goes in like that. So now that belt connects up, and explosive units are officially on the bus. And now we will officially take them off the bus. Alright, let's actually, we can do all of this in one splitter if we do it more optimally. So this reaches around to the back, and then the other output comes out from the front, and then you just go right back to next to where you were 5 seconds ago. So that is that, and they are getting drained in like crazy by these machines. Then we actually need more copper plates apparently, because I see none of them on the belt there. That's might just because that belt hasn't been finished building, but that's probably it actually. Alright, so now we just get these two inputs set up. And you come down like this and wrap around and into that. And then you come down like this and wrap around into there. And then we finally get this belt for the copper ingots once they eventually show up. Are they called copper ingots or copper plates? Probably copper plates, actually. Names are hard. So then those go into there. And that should be a supply of missiles.
Flight mode.
Alright, so now let's just fly down here and get all of these guys finished up. And we also need power. Where's our closest power pole? It's going to be easier and more efficient for our construction to go down here to charge. So we can stand here while our drones do their thing. And now the copper is starting to make some progress. And in fact, I think that's probably the copper making it all the way down. So that's good. And now we just have to wait for our power to get charged up while we look at more upgrades. Let's go back to the technologies and attack drones and corvettes. Alright, so all of these guys are requiring fancy stuff. Titanium ammo doesn't require fancy stuff, although I'm not going to be able to make much use out of it. And then that's the structure matrix itself. This is the ray receiver, which we can unlock as it is. And then the next step from there requires like a billion stuff that I don't even want to think about. Okay, we're just about done with the red science unlocks.
Flight mode.
So that shouldn't take much longer. So now we can fly over here, and these guys are successfully working, and they've got plenty of ammo going out. Now, the other thing we want is the actual missile towers themselves, which theoretically with the signal towers, it should expand the range. I'm not sure how that works. So for now, let's set up a missile tower and see what happens. So we're going to set up a missile tower. We're going to set up the whole drone logistics system thing for this, probably.
Replication complete.
So that belt goes all the way over there. And then we, of course, need some foundation. And then you go up into a box with a logistics distributor on top. And then we only need like a stack or two of those. And that goes in. Alright, so now let's get a fancy wireless power pole there to get that connection across, and as well as just give me another space to refuel. Okay, so you need some of those. You need to be set to give missiles to other distributors. And then I still have no idea how far these guys' range is. It's not enough to get all the way up to the other side of the planet. Although actually, did I just see, like, if you look carefully on the mini-map, I think Dark Fog is actually like genuinely just a little bit around this way. Yeah, we're kind of creeping up on them here from the other side. Hopefully that's not an issue. It would be really annoying if they just attacked from an unexpected direction and just wiped me out because I was completely defenseless. So for now, we can just set you up to have a missile turret here. And let's just give some foundation for that. Missile turret goes in.
You've built a missile turret. It can launch guided missiles.
Turret, which is very funny.
It provides all-around defense against both ground and space enemies. You can select targets in the turret panel.
Okay, so we just need to connect you up with missiles. And you need to be set configurations: ground, low air, upper air, space. So it ignores those, but just shoots at everything else, probably. Should be fine, right? So now we've got a missile turret. And theoretically, if my understanding of what the signal turrets do is correct, then they can somehow... I don't know how that whole expanding the range of the missile turret things work. This has a pretty good range as is, so that's nice. So we got that going for us. It just says it forms a data chain. But I don't know what that means. Exceed a total energy consumption of 1 terajoule. That seems pretty neat. And our power grid is still fine even with all that. We have 14 gigajoules of energy and dropping, but it is nighttime. And it's probably also nighttime where our solar panels are still. I haven't seen a flicker yet, so it should be fine. And, okay, the amount that we're discharging is dropping off, which makes me think it's probably getting to be daytime where our solar panels are. At least the first couple. And now we're actually charging again. So now we're charging again, so we should be fine now. So yeah, generation of 50-some megawatts, consumption demand of 30-some megawatts. That definitely looks like we are getting more solar power as we go. And the energy accumulated is going up. Now it's also daylight where I am, which is cool. And now our ability to charge is actually just lower than the amount of power we're producing. So that's fancy. I don't hate that. So that means that with the accumulators we have, we're charging as fast as we can go. So as long as that's not like a major limiting factor, which to be fair it might be, then our power grid should be quite solid. I wish it could show like how much energy accumulation we could have total if all was going well, so that I could just know, like, is this 15 out of 40 or 15 out of 20, you know? It's probably fine. Probably fine. Alright, let's just go here. We definitely don't have enough copper plates, so we're going to have to fix that, which should be as easy as running down here and just pasting a blueprint a couple of times like we did with the iron. Although we will have to change the recipes in the blueprints. Alright, so these just go in. And then that's a tropic line down there, which doesn't seem fun. Alright, so now we need to get all those recipes pasted. And we need to upgrade a bunch of belts so that we can use the existing belts for other things. So if we do that, that should give us enough tier 2 belts. And then we need to finish those connections across where they don't currently exist. So we do all of that. Okay, and now we just need to get more arc smelters, which I believe we'd automated up here somewhere. Hopefully. Yeah, here we go. Arc smelters. Yoink. And now we head back down to get those placed. Alright, so now arc smelters get placed in. And that should be a solid improvement to our copper supply. And what else might we want to be upgrading? I want to make sure that everything is working relatively well, right? So the copper supply is good. It's limited by belt speed. It's not quite limited by belt speed, but it's close to it. Back there, which is fine. It should eventually have enough with all that stuff. So the oil refinery is limited by refined oil, which is fine because that's the output I actually want right now. All the rest of these belts look fully saturated so far, which means that theoretically we have enough of everything, right? So we are making missiles and sending them out. And I just want to make sure we don't accidentally have 200 million stacks. No, that is completely saturated. So this is now running back on the belts. And that is all good. Alright, let's see. I think we're going to wrap up a little bit early today. So I think this is as good a stopping point as any. We've got missile turrets. Well, we've got one missile turret, and we can manual craft more if we need to. And we've got plenty of missiles to fire. And then we're just going to keep on expanding. So right now we're doing the titanium ammo box. After that, we're pretty close to having to start worry about adding science onto this belt, onto the main bus. And then once we have that, we're going to add yellow science as well. And once we do that, we should hopefully be able to get that moving relatively quickly. And then get some more researches to help us continuing to go forwards. So yeah, we're going to wrap up here for the day. We'll be back at it on Thursday. So I will also be doing Factorio tomorrow as usual. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time. So if you haven't already, make sure to follow so that you know when I'm live and what I'm doing. And so yeah, that's about it. Thanks everyone for hanging out.